Welcome back to our review of Atlanta, and we only have a few more episodes left. Are you guys enjoying this season? Let us know. This is the Curry Gumbo Podcast with Nicole and Ashley. Trini to the bone, and we are in New York with another white family. Why don't they be having black families? Why are we not following black people?
I don't know. I have to be honest. I'm pretty over it. I'm over all of the episodes that are not following the main cast members.
With this episode, it could have went opposite. So we're following this couple and son, Sebastian, live in this New York apartment. Sebastian's nanny is late, and the parents are trying to figure out what to do. Sebastian is watching Proud Family on the iPad.
So adorable. Sebastian is so freaking adorable. It's so sad what he will become, but he is just the most adorable child.
He's not eating his plain eggs, whatever his
Eggs Benedict. Eggs
yeah.
Benedict from that very fancy schmancy breakfast lunch spot, Balthazar, which is, I guess, like a New York staple. But can we just stop there? If you had the time to go for a run, if you had the time to go for a run, do you need a nanny? Do you need a nanny?
I mean, that is a debate.
You know, some black woman would have been able to get them kids ready.
People do it with 5 kids every day.
Every of the days. Of the days. And so it's difficult to see people, wealthy people, and you are wealthy if you have an apartment like that in what looks like Midtown. You're waiting on someone to help you raise your child. You don't even know what this child eats. The child is saying like they don't like, oh, he hasn't touched his eggs Benedict. I don't know what small child is eating eggs Benedict. Do you?
No.
Get that kid some scrambled eggs. Get that kid some, I'll get a kid a smoothie before I gave him some eggs Benedict.
But he needed that curry sauce on it.
Because listen, his taste buds said, I need the flavor. I need the seasoning. He said, this is too bland.
His Trinidadian nanny got the homemade curry sauce in the jar in the fridge, and he's like, I need that on top of my eggs so I can eat it.
I kind of knew what this episode was going to be as soon as I saw the child watching Proud Family cartoon.
Oh.
A black nanny, more than likely West Indian. If she didn't have small children, she had grown children.
Yeah, her own kids.
Due to the nature of her work, due to the nature of her exploitation, due to the nature of the ways in which people of color are treated, or even just we're all working class people, I know that your children are being ignored as you dote and love and raise this child, this white child. I already knew that was the argument that this show was making. How they went about doing it. Why the fuck Tom Hanks' son got to be in the show? I don't get what they're doing with like problematic people.
They could have done this episode from the nanny's family point of view, because we find out the nanny died, so that's why she was late. Well, she's not coming because she passed away. But I was thinking, why not put this from the nanny's family's point of view? Them having to like prepare for her homegoing ceremony, and then be like, oh my gosh, she has a job. How do we tell? Like, who are these people that she works for? How do we tell them she ain't coming? Like, why is it from this white family's point of view and not her family's point of view?
After this is over, I would really love for us to just think about how black women are captured in this show.
That was going to be my other point, because going back to when the other episodes when they're in Europe, we never see black European women or black women in Amsterdam and London. It's always white people, and if it is black people, it's always, we'll get like a black male, saying
Yeah.
some words. Even in the white fashion episode, there was like a black woman on that panel, but she barely spoke anything.
Barely
You got
spoke.
most of Khalil, you got Khalil and DeMarco going at it, but it's like, where's the prominent black woman? You know,
I think we
and
see it. We definitely see it in the next episode with Lorraine. We'll get into that because there's something a little specter-ish about her. It's like, is she real? Is she also dead? Is she?
but she had an American
know?
accent, so that's something. I'm talking
Yeah,
about black women living in. There's black
living
women
in your. Okay.
Like,
Well,
where are they?
Yeah, I guess I'm just talking about black women, period. Like,
True.
give me one that's not dead. Yeah, so the nanny has died. Sebastian has, I'd never seen Sebastian cry. I ain't
No.
seen Sebastian. I'm not West Indian. Are West Indians, are people easily showing emotion when
No.
someone, okay.
I mean,
Because
there's
I was
no
like, maybe he's learning that from her. Like, oh, someone died. I'm not about to cry about that.
Oh.
I'm not,
I mean, it could be his age too, because kids don't really be knowing what. He seemed about 4 or 5. Did they say his age? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think
definitely
he was-
under 6.
Yeah, he's under 6. He might be 4 or 5. I think he's in kindergarten.
Because sometimes kids, like, you tell them that, but they don't really understand. And like, it takes them a minute to like sink it. It's like, oh, so she's coming back tomorrow. Like, where?
Yeah.
So I wasn't hung up on that part. We can get into stuff that didn't made no sense to me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't understand why her kids had an accent, because we learned that Sylvia, the nanny, she's been in New York for like over 20 years. She went to whatever was it, the dance school.
Alvin Ailey.
Yeah. She was in school, she went to college, her kids. I'm like, why her kids got this accent if they from New York? That's not how it works.
Nicki Minaj is from Trinidad.
Yeah, and she moved when she was like 5. So she's from New York. Like, that's not how this works. And even getting into
because I was like, maybe the older kids are
but
from.
then the way they talked about her life was that.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I don't know. That I didn't even think about that, child. And that, see there?
Was that Tom Hanks' son at the end?
Chet.
He wouldn't have an accent either, because like, you're not gonna have no accent from a nanny that you had when you was 5, really.
See, I feel like that's a part of the gag. That's a part of the, like, I am so invested in a community and a culture that's not mine, that I've taken on this accent. To me, it would have made more sense, hearing you say this, it makes more sense for Tom Hanks' son to have it as opposed to the children, because it's like, you're spending so much time with this woman that you're picking up on her accent, and her children are not even picking up, they're not even picking up on the accent, because they are being kind of raised by
they live in
the
New
city
York.
of New York. I doubt that her children are spending more time with their family as opposed to their peers at school. You're absolutely right.
People don't realize how much your schooling affects the way you talk, your accent. Even we hear all the time people who grow up in predominantly white schools, their accent's gonna be different than someone who goes to a predominantly black school.
Yeah,
it's like, your parents really don't have an effect on you as you might think.
And they also say that you keep whatever accent you privilege the most.
Other part, I did not like the whole funeral thing. Was kind of cringe to me. Just them fighting at the funeral, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we scaring the white people away," and then all of that was just so cringe to me. It's like, how did you feel when you saw that scene?
That guy who was concerned about scaring the white people, I think he wanted a job. I think he wanted to be hired by Sebastian's parents, and so he wanted to ensure that they were comfortable. I think that there are other people who are not worried about how they are seen by white people, but their their point of view was not necessarily highlighted. So the daughter who wanted to, like, who's beating the casket.
She was the one who was upset, who spilled the tea that her mama wasn't there.
Yeah. I don't think that she's worried about what those white people think. I think that she's upset with those white people.
The thing I didn't like is that, well, because this is from this white people's point of view, which I feel like it should have been the other way around. And it just kind of seemed like, because it's from their point of view, it's like they were going into this strange territory. And it's like, oh my gosh, is it safe here? Who's going to watch our car? If we go in here, oh, they're fighting. Like, what's going on here? And it's like, why is it from this perspective? To me, I didn't like it. I didn't like that it was from their perspective.
I mean, I told you I'm over it. Like, in each episode, I like that it's a mini movie, in that you become invested in these people. Even though I didn't like it being from their point of view, I'm invested. I'm like, what's going to happen to Sebastian? Is Sebastian going to be, I'm assuming he's going to be haunted by this nanny, because he's telling her goodnight when he goes to bed and the nanny dead. So what in the world is going on? You know? I also like how the cast, there's still like the specter of the cast, because when he's parking the car, you see like all of these posters for Paperboy, like on a wall when when they're parking the car. And I'm like, man, like Paperboy is literally everywhere. Like, he's in the South, he's in the Northeast, he's in Europe. So we see Paperboy. But yeah, some of the stuff just felt a little like low hanging fruit to me. Like, yes. Oh, they're scared of the people in this neighborhood. He's scared to leave his expensive car. You know, why you didn't take a Uber? I don't know. But like,
they didn't even want to go at first. I'm like,
didn't want to go.
You don't care about your, like, I thought a nanny is usually a part of the family because they are taking care of your kid. So I would think you should at least, they had a
but I already knew that I mean, that's not like, they didn't even know her family. So it's like,
true.
She's not a part of their family. She's just, you know, a part of their family in the way like an appliance is a part of the family. Yeah, the funeral, I thought those dancers were cute. I thought it was cute that they like honored her with some of the dancing. Tom Hanks' son. Tom and Rita's son. Because they were he was just on that show Z-Way. That girl who basically invites people on and just like makes fun of them. But I don't even understand why he got airtime on that show either. Why was he on the show? Like, are we trying to make excuses for him? Are we trying to say, because Tom Hanks' son probably
story? Did he say he had a Jamaican nanny or something? What's his story?
I don't know if he did or not, but he's the one who is like committing these.
I mean, he got the accent down, so he can't even say he.
I mean, I am not, you know, I'm not of these places, so I can't say if the accent sounds authentic or if it don't. I don't know. But I know he ain't from there. So yeah, maybe you did have a nanny, but I know you wasn't with your nanny 24 hours a day. I know you wasn't. If that is the case, like that's the case in the show, but in real life, you know, you're like moving in and out of these accents that is incredibly cringy. And so I don't know, is the show trying to say like, here is how a Tom Hanks son comes into being? This is how that happens.
Which is not even true. You don't turn into full Caribbean by one nanny you had when you was 5. Come on now. That's not realistic.
Right.
My grandmother took care of me with full Jamaican accent. I never picked it up. because I went to school. Like,
and I know the school that Chet Hanks went to. I hope that's his name. I hope the school that he went to. I already know the school he went to was like full of white folk. So, shut up, sir.
I'm reading this. He says he had a Jamaican girlfriend.
True. But look, at the end of the day, I don't know what they trying to do. I don't know if they trying to save Chet Hanks. I don't know. I don't know, because you notice that Chet Hanks was the first one with his phone out talking about World Star when a fight was breaking out at the dang on funeral. And that's another thing that I have noticed. White people, when they get in them black spaces, they love to bring out their motherfucking phone when some shit go down to snitch on people, but you're not thinking about the consequences of sharing this material. Right? The same way I feel like old boy from what's his name? The black journalist from TMZ, and how he got into it with that white guy Van, and how he got into it with that white guy who be in all them Spike Lee movies. What's his name? Spike Lee. Michael Rappaport. Yeah, exactly. And Van was like, you show a lot of black violence on your page. And he was like, well, send me videos of white people fighting. It's like, motherfucker, come on now. Come on. You know good and damn well that these videos exist.
I be seeing them.
Exactly. But you're only showing black violence. Yeah. You don't care about the impact that has on the black people who follow you. Like you're not even thinking about that. I think same thing with this character that Chet Hanks is playing. He doesn't have to think about that. He's not necessarily, the world doesn't task him with thinking about what is it going to do to this family that there is a video that's going to live forever on the internet of a family fighting at a funeral. What impact will that have on that family? That motherfucker ain't thinking about that. And that's your nanny and you love her though. But okay.
True. And then Sebastian's parents worried that their son going to turn out like him. They talked about the history of the limbo dance.
And I ain't know nothing about it.
I didn't either, but was it necessary?
It did seem like the father was just maybe inching ever so slowly towards trying to care about this nanny or understand where she's from. That's what it felt like to me. The mom felt like she was just immediately like ready to dispose of this nanny as soon as she found out she died. She's going around the house getting like, oh my gosh, she left so much stuff here. And even even saying it that way, she left so much stuff here as if like her stuff is a nuisance to them, as opposed to, oh my gosh, we have so many of her things, or I'm so excited we can give this to the family, or I'm wondering if there's anything that we can keep to give to Sebastian so he can remember her by. She ain't worried about none of that shit. She's just trying to clean this place out. One way we can think about that is that the limbo dance is kind of void of its history. In the same way that like this nanny is void of any history, void of any life of her own, and she is just used to make the lives of these white folk easier. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I don't know anything about the limbo, like nothing about it. But why would I know that? And if I had a Trinidadian nanny, I wouldn't know anything about her children. I wouldn't know anything about where she's from. I wouldn't know anything about her history with dance. I wouldn't know anything about what she has done for the community. Why? Because I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about being raised by her in that, like, I am the one that is centered. She's not the one that's centered. So I think it seems appropriate that we're getting that little history lesson about the limbo dance, because in a way, like, that is what is also happening with this nanny.
They're discovering a lot of things about her that they had no idea. And I'm like, did y'all interview her? Like,
no, you about it.
Hey, do you have children?
They said this is what happened. She was looking for somebody her husband wouldn't fuck. He was looking for somebody who did not seem mentally unstable. There you go.
Now that the nanny is gone, the parents have to be parents and take their kid to school. And so we find out this mysterious package was a picture of Sylvia, the nanny, and Sebastian, I guess, on the Parents' Day. There was a picture of both of them together. And that was being left at their door.
So it just seems like her revenge, right? Because not to a certain extent, we're thinking, did she like stop them from knowing about Picture Day? Because it's like they didn't even know about it.
I don't think they would even. Even if they did,
maybe they. I'm wondering maybe they would have gone, because there's something that is very performative about them. So they would have gone to seem like they're good parents. But even if they wouldn't, all the more reason to throw it in their face. I mean, the look on her face in the pictures is like, I'm with your child. I am the mother of your child. I am raising your child. Your child loves me. I'm going to always be in your child's life in a way that you can't be. There's an intimacy between myself and Sebastian that you will never be able to access because you have not been here. And I think that is what that's what the pictures, that's what we see in the pictures. Like there's a recognition in her eye that is saying, like, this is payback. Son. This is payback because I wasn't able to raise my kids. I ain't have time to take pictures with my kids.
Yeah, I didn't go to Picture Day.
I ain't going to no damn Picture Day.
So now we just got generations of kids not being raised by their parents. Is that the moral of the story? Raise your own kids? Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more Atlanta episode reviews. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Curry Gumbo. Bye.